baby powder and grandma's perfume. Hey guys, welcome to today's video. So for today I wanted to put together my version of the ultimate drugstore starter kit. It is by far the most asked question I get, which is if someone's interested in starting to learn makeup or they're interested in putting together a kit for the first time, where would they start? And I've been a makeup artist for about 6-7 years, and I'll tell you, when I started leaving bigger companies and that gratis ran out or the free stuff ran out, I switched to drugstore makeup because I wasn't going to spend a ton of money on really expensive products, $40, $50, $60 on foundations. It starts to add up, and especially if you're just learning, I understand not wanting to invest a ton of money in something you're nervous about or you don't know too much about. So I have tried pretty much everything on the market when it comes to drugstore makeup. When I was pulling the makeup I want to show you, I pulled about two, 3 products for every category, and I wanted to consider skin type, age. Everyone's different, and whether you're dry, whether you're oily, I picked a product that's going to work for you. I also think it's important to keep in mind that I'm going to be going through every single step. If you have the time to do that in the morning, or you have time to sit down on the weekend and practice, I want to provide every single step if you wanted to do so. If you don't have the time in the morning, you want to cut it down 5-10 minutes, I'll specify which are the really important steps to do, but by all means, shave off things you don't want to do. There's no need to go through the entire steps, but I wanted to provide that for you so you at least knew what to do if you wanted to get there or you wanted to do a full face. Please make sure to subscribe to my channel, give this video a like, follow me on Instagram, and let me know what you think and some other videos you want me to do. But for the moment, I am very excited, and let's get started. To start us off today, I wanted to talk about primers. So there is many options out there. There is tons of primers, and I don't want to overwhelm you with too many steps, but I'm going to show you 3 different products that I think could really benefit you because it's an investment in skincare, and it's also a step that is really going to help the foundation last and the makeup last throughout the day, which is really a lot of people's goal when they're wearing makeup all day long. The first product we're going to talk about is the Colourpop Pretty Fresh Setting Spray. So this is a setting spray, but it is infused with hyaluronic acid. Hyaluronic acid is an amazing product to lock in moisture throughout the day, and especially now that we're getting into winter and it's so cold outside, this is not a step to skip. If you don't want to put something on the skin, you don't want to put a primer all over, and you just want to really give yourself a spray to add a little bit of moisture under the foundation, this is the step I would start with. For drier skin types or anyone with texture, acne, really just want to smooth the skin, fill pores. Enlarged pores is a big problem, especially when you're getting into foundation and concealer. I would go with, this is the Maybelline Master Prime in number 400. Just the regular primer. They have a couple different ones for color correcting. It's green. I like this one the best. It definitely has that slit to it, and I think it fills pores, and it really makes foundation look beautiful. If you have oily skin, I would go with the Soap & Glory. It's called One Heck of a Blot Primer. This is amazing for oily skin. I have used this on brides wearing makeup all day long, and the first time I ever did makeup on my best friend's wedding was the first time I got to do it and then be at the wedding the entire day, and at like 10 p.m. I was looking at their face like I was in awe. I mean, no oil came through, the foundation looked beautiful, so this I would really recommend for oily skin. I am a little bit more on the combo side, and I definitely have large pores in my nose, so today we're going to go in with the Maybelline Master Prime Primer. I always, whenever I'm doing primer, concentrate this on the areas that are the most textured or have the largest pores, and you kind of want to start this on the inside of the face and work outwards. A lot of the times the T-zone is the area that gives you the most trouble, so we really want to smooth that out and get everything ready for foundation. Now, one of the biggest recommendations I can make for you guys if you're starting out is to start with your eye makeup. And I know it seems weird because you want to get your skin looking good, but as a makeup artist who's done this for a long time, I can't tell you, especially when you're starting out, I think there's such benefits in starting with your eye makeup, because if there's any fallout from mascara smudging down underneath, eyeshadow fallout, it's going to mess up your complexion. So why get your complexion beautiful and then start going in with your eyes if it's going to mess it up? I actually found these on Amazon. They are little like eye guides and they're really cute. It came with like 400 for $8, I want to say. So they look like this. They're cloth on one side, and you, on the top here, the top section, take this and peel that off. So see how that's lighter now. And this, I think, would be a great thing to invest in if you're starting and you don't quite understand the shape of the eye. So the beauty of these is, if you're going in with them, you can see it follows the curvature of the eye. So I never do them like this because that does not line up. Where this follows, I bring this up and I put it right on like that. So I actually thought I would show you today one eye with it on and one eye with it off, just so you can see the difference of the shape you're going to get versus if you were doing it freehand. So two drugstore primers, holy grail for me, are the e.l.f. concealer. This is the 16-hour camo concealer. They just came out with a hydrating one I don't quite love. I just think this one doesn't crease as much and it's very full coverage. You need the littlest bit of it. And then the holy grail of drugstore concealer, I'm sure you've heard other people talk about this, is the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind concealer. So this literally works on everybody. It's absolutely phenomenal. Creamy, doesn't crease, beautiful coverage. This one we will use on the face, but we will use the e.l.f. for our eyeshadow primer. To start out, we're going to put a little bit of this on our eyelids and go in with our beauty blender. Even our beauty blender is drugstore. This one is the e.l.f. Beauty Sponge. Unbelievable. I love it. Please, God, wet your beauty blender. Using a dry beauty blender, you might as well be using your sleeve. The moisture in the beauty blender is what gives you that slip, hydration, blends. Using a dry beauty blender, you might as well be using a dish sponge. Saturate it, wring all the moisture out. I'll even wrap it in a paper towel afterwards just to kind of get any excess moisture out. But it doubles in size and really is that's what's going to give you the blend. Okay, now that our eyelids are primed, we're going to go in with setting powder. So for setting powder, I have two. The first one is going to be the Coty Airspun. This is in translucent. The only problem with this one, and a lot of people have this problem with it, is the scent. It is very strong. I don't mind it. It's like baby powder and grandma's perfume. But if you can tolerate that, it's amazing. I do think that's a little bit better for oily skin. People with dry skin, it can tend to look a little heavy if you overdo it. But my absolute favorite drugstore powder is the Wet n Wild translucent powder. So finely milled. We're going to go in with a MAC eyeshadow blending brush, and we want to set that concealer. And another trick I always like to share with people is run this translucent powder through your eyebrows. What that's going to do is mattify, take away all the oil in the eyebrows, so when you go to fill the brows later with a brow pencil, it's not catching on any of the natural oils and slipping. It's going to fill much, much better. If you've ever tried to fill your brows before and you feel like nothing's like going on your skin, it's probably just because your skin is a little bit too oily, and mattifying it is going to make a big difference. Now for eyeshadow. So I was going through my palettes and I really wanted to give you something that was drugstore. I was going through my palettes and I thought about this. This is the Profusion Mattes palette. It's unbelievable, as you can see from how used and abused it looks. Profusion eyeshadow, Profusion makeup on a whole is unbelievable to me. It's sold at like Target, Walmart. This entire palette I think is $9.99, and that baffles me. For, I mean, what is this? 3 by 6, 8, 3 times 8. That's a lot of eyeshadows for $9.99. And I know this is all matte. If you do like shimmer, if you do like a little sparkle on the eye, they have so many palettes with shimmer, and the shimmer is just as good. So my advice would be check out Profusion. Wet n Wild eyeshadows are also amazing. The Maybelline, the Lemonade palette's amazing. But those three brands really hit it out of the park for really high quality eyeshadow at a drugstore price. Okay, so to start, we're going to go in with Doll. This one right here, and we're going to take it. This is on a Morphe M573 brush. Going to take Doll. We are going to put this right into our crease here and go in circular motions. So the beauty of our stamp out here is we can go right onto it and not have to worry about blending too far that way. And as we bring this in, notice how I'm looking down in the mirror and I'm tilting my head back a little bit and always moving my brush in circular motions. This is going to help it look not like way too just dragged in there and too harsh. Going in those circular motions is what's going to help you blend. So as we go, notice how I'm bringing this and I'm not really coming too low in here. I'm keeping it higher on the inside, more towards the brow bone, because that's going to connect to our nose contour and really work on thinning the nose and thinning the face. Now on the other eye that we don't have our guide here, don't be afraid to blend it the same way on the inside. And then when you're going on your outside, don't stop too harsh and make that line too harsh. Feel free to go back and forth and blend that past where you want it, because we can always go in after the fact with a makeup wipe and clean everything up and make it look nice and sharp. Now we're gonna go ahead and deepen up the outside here. Deepening up the outside is what really gives the eye a little bit of dimension. We're taking a MAC 221 brush, very thin, very pointed, and we're taking the color Bravo in our Profusion palette and just deepening up the outside. So see, we're packing this on the outer third, tucking it right in that socket and circular motions. And now once we feel like all of the product is off of the brush and it's really deposited on the lid, is when we can start moving around a little bit more. So that's when we're going to lift it slightly, bring it up onto the brow bone, towards the outside of the lid. The higher we bring this, the smokier the makeup is going to be. But I really don't want this to be too intense. I really want to keep this natural for you guys. A great trick too when you're blending out your eyeshadow is to go back with the first brush you used with nothing on it. Don't dip back into that color and just run over the edges of that darker color, and it kind of marries the two together and really prevents it from looking a little bit too harsh or overdone. And now, because I wanted to keep this eyeshadow look as simple as possible, I didn't want to go in with a glitter. I wanted, in the palette, which is why I chose that matte palette, I wanted to show you guys something that I think is so amazing for people who are starting out, and that is liquid eyeshadows. So this is the e.l.f. liquid eyeshadows. This is in the color Flirty Birdie. And beautiful gold, beautiful neutral, really works for every day. e.l.f., Milani, Flower Beauty. Those are brands off the top of my head with glitter eyeshadows that are phenomenal. They last all day. They don't crease. Really beautiful. And it just is such an easy way to get a impactful, like, professional look, glamorous look without going crazy on eyeshadow and blending. We're going to go in with this eyeshadow. So it comes out. It has the little doe foot here. And this I love because you can kind of carve out our lid here. We can take our finger here and kind of marry this in with our shadows, just so nothing is too harsh. And now that our eyeshadow is done, I want to show you guys taking our guide here. And I like to just press out that outside to make sure that line isn't too harsh. But, I mean, look at that. It's going to help you so much, prevent you from really having to be neat and tidy, and especially when you're learning about eye shapes, and just if you want to do a wing liner with that, it's amazing because it gives you that guide and shows you exactly what angle, as long as you're just following the bottom lash line and continuing that straight up. So believe it or not, I'm not that much of an eyeliner person. I think it closes off the eye, and I like to have the eyes look much more open and awake. So we're going to skip right to mascara. My two drugstore recommendations. The first one is the Essence Lash Princess. This is unbelievable, and I'm pretty sure it's $3-4. This is in the waterproof. I just use waterproof a lot more for brides, but the not the waterproof one is amazing as well. And then the holy grail, my number one, is the L'Oreal Lash Paradise. So I don't know if this is going to pick up with the lights, but waterproof, not waterproof, unbelievable. It gives you the biggest definition and length and volume. Can't go wrong. $10, amazing. So this is about 2 coats with the L'Oreal Lash Paradise. I love the way this builds up on the lashes. It is very buildable and is not too clumpy in any way. I am extra, so I am going to do lashes. I'm going to do lashes in the Lily Lash in CEO. So I'm going to do these off camera, and I'll be right back. Okay, we popped on our lashes. Now we're going to work on complexion. So we're going to jump right into foundation first. So the two foundations I picked, one is absolutely amazing. It is, I think it works for pretty much everybody. Definitely oily skin, definitely normal. Some dry, I would say you have to take care of your skin. If you have dry skin, you want to exfoliate, you want to hydrate, and this will work wonders for you. And that is the L'Oreal Infallible. So this is in the color 410, I believe, for me. Yes. And it is so beautiful. And if you're really looking for a foundation that is going to last all day long, if you're looking for something great for work, this is the one to go with. The next one I'm going to show you is a little bit better for dry skin. I don't know if this is technically drugstore, but I would consider it. This is the Colourpop Pretty Fresh Foundation. Same as the setting spray, it has hyaluronic acid in it, which is really beautiful for dry skin, keeping that moisture in all day. The price point, I want to say it's around like $14 to $18 at Ulta. Still affordable and very, very worth it. Just because we're in the winter months and it is very cold outside, this is actually the one I'm going to use today. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and pump a little bit of this onto the hand. We're going to take, this is one of my all-time favorite brushes. Shout out to my friend Kevin who told me about this. It's changed my life. This is the Ulta Precision Foundation Brush. Take a little bit of it. I really don't go in with all of it. And we're just going to start dotting this around the face. I always like to spread it before I blend it because that prevents you from putting too much in one area. So I personally like to apply my foundation with a brush. Start with a brush and then whatever is left on my hand, I like to dip with my beauty blender and just run over the skin with the beauty blender, and it really helps press the foundation into the skin and keep everything nice and hydrated. I forgot to mention this Colourpop foundation is in the shade 20B, and I personally also always like to apply my foundation to my nose with my beauty blender because I have a little bit more texture on my nose and between the brows. I just think the beauty blender does a beautiful job at keeping it looking a little more hydrated than running over the nose with a brush, which can really bring out texture if you have dry or flaky areas. I'm really liking the way this foundation looks. And now we are going to go in with concealer. So, as I said before, we're going to go in with the Maybelline Age Rewind Concealer. This is in the shade Fair. We're really going to start, and this is preference. This is how much you want to build it up and how glam you want to take it. So if you're doing this every day, a little bit on the under eyes, blend it out with the beauty blender, might be more than enough for you. But if you want a little bit more of that glam look, we're really going to highlight our under eyes here. So we're going to bring this a little bit more down and up onto those brow bones. Bringing the makeup down the edges of the nose like that, or the sides of the nose, and up on the brow bone is really going to give the face much more of a lift. Really lift the cheekbones and bring everything up and sculpt a little bit more than just concealing right in those dark circles. We're also going to take a little on the chin, Cupid's bow, and just a little bit center of the forehead and down the bridge of the nose. Okay, so once we have our concealer blended in and everything looks the way we want it to, we want to take that beauty blender and just buff out any creasing that may have occurred, because we are going to do probably the most important step and the step a lot of people miss, which is setting your foundation. Setting your foundation with the powder is what's going to keep it from creasing. It's going to keep it on all day, and it's going to prevent any oil coming through, and it's really, this is what's giving you the lasting power. A lot of people think it's a setting spray. Believe it or not, for me, I think a setting spray helps more with texture, letting the powder melt in, but we're taking a little bit on the lid there, swirling it around, tapping off that excess, and we're going to just not swipe, we're just going to press this into the skin. We never want to swipe with our setting powder. We just spend all that time blending everything perfectly, and a cream or a liquid on the skin without powder on top is going to move. And setting it with our powder is what is going to lock everything in place. But we don't want to swipe because it's going to move it around and mess up that blend. So now that we have our base done, I think it's really important to stress that the reason we're doing our foundation, and we normally have that under eye concealer about 1-2 shades lighter, is because we're really just having a beautiful blank canvas. We're brightening our under eyes, brightening the center of the face, which is anytime you're highlighting something, you're bringing it forward when you're looking at it, or when someone's looking at you. And when you're darkening something, you're adding a shadow, and that's why we call it contouring, because you're adding in that shape back into the face, which is exactly what we're going to do. So now we're going to talk about bronzer. So the two bronzers I wanted to show you guys are the Maybelline City Bronzer. I really love this one because I think it is just a beautiful natural tone. It doesn't look too orange. It doesn't look too red. It really just has that sun-kissed tan look. I would say this one's a little bit more on the warm side, so you want to keep that in mind. If you're very fair, it's a little bit harder to pick a bronzer because the paler you are, the more orange something can show. So you want to make sure it's not too orange on you. That's why I would honestly, my number one recommendation is going to be the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. So this is what we're going to use today. So this is just on, again, a Laura Mercier contoured angled brush. And we're going to start adding the life back into the skin. So I like to start on the forehead. We're just going to take this along the hairline. Don't be afraid to really get into that hairline, because the worst thing is when you have a line of bronzer and then right up against your scalp is like super light from the foundation. And notice I'm bringing this down, and we're bringing it right to the edges of the eyebrows. You want to think of your contour as going straight up all along that hairline, and that's why we highlighted the center of the forehead, because we want the center to really be nice and highlighted, because that now is what's going to bring the center of the forehead forward when someone is looking at it, and we're contouring the rest of the forehead back. Now, as far as the cheeks, this is something everybody always asks me. A good rule of thumb is I don't know what part of the ear this is called, but from here, you want to draw an invisible line from here to the corner of the mouth. That is our contour line. Why is it underneath? Because we're sinking this in and giving ourselves that fake cheekbone, if you will, that Angelina Jolie kind of look. So right back here, make sure we're going up against the ear, and then only bring it about halfway. And once you've deposited most of your color, blend up and away. Look at that difference. And then we're taking it and we're going to connect this behind the jawline and underneath the jaw. And now we're going to take just a round eyeshadow brush. This is a NYX eyeshadow blending brush. Dip into our bronzer. Make sure to tap off that excess. And now remember we blended our eyeshadow right into that corner. We're going to take this down and run this along the sides of the nose. Not too heavy. And once we feel like we've deposited all that color, start bringing this down the sides. Again, this is such an extra step. You do not need to do this on an everyday basis. And we're going to do the bottom of the nose, which is going to make that nose look a little bit more lifted. Again, a step you do not need to do. Our setting powder with the brush we use to set our under eyes. Take a little bit of that powder, heavier, and run that down the sides. This is going to clean up that contour, and this is a great way if you feel like your contour is messy, especially on the cheeks. If you went too low when you were blending it, take a little bit of this loose setting powder, and underneath, carve that out. And even though it looks crazy because you're really laying it on thick and heavy, you're only doing it momentarily until we're going to swipe it away. And that is really going to help sharpen that line up and keep everything super clean and tidy. The two blushes I'm going to show you are my all-time favorite. This is the Neutrogena 20 Vibrant is the shade. Once you have your highlight and contour on, the face is flat, and blush is something a lot of people tend to shy away from, and I think blush is what adds life and vibrancy back into the skin, and this is my all-time favorite. It is just the most beautiful sun-kissed pink without being too pink, if that makes sense. Not too cool, not too warm. It's absolutely phenomenal. Good second choice would be the Milani Blushes. This is in the shade 08 Tea Rose. This is a little bit more neutral. It's a little more cool. It's not quite as pinky as this one is. This is a Bare Minerals dual fiber blush and contour brush. This definitely is very pigmented. Take this and tap off that excess. It definitely is going to come out on you. Now, when you're adding on your blush, smile. This is the apple of the cheek right up here. A lot of times people make the mistake of putting that blush right on the apple of that cheek. I actually like to have your apple, smile, go right behind it, and very light-handed, back and forth, just like we did with our contour. Don't be afraid to take that blush up onto the cheekbone. The more we take that up onto the cheekbone, the more lifted it's going to make the face. The more we bring the blush into the center, the rounder it's going to make our face. So to keep with that angular contour, I like to bring that blush up. And then I'll even swipe a little bit on the hand. And then, very lightly, bring it onto that apple. And just make sure our sides are blended here. Beautiful. And now that that is done, we're going to go back with our powder brush and swipe away that extra baking powder. Look how much that just cleaned up all of our lines. Can go over everything just to marry it together. So now we're going to talk about highlighters. I have two here. One of them is definitely very intense. It's a little bit more blinding if that's something you're interested in trying. And the other one is a little bit more subdued. So the blinding one is the Revlon Skin Lights. This is in the shade Daybreak Glimmer 201. So this is the shade. I love this one. It's a little bit more golden toned. Definitely blinding. If you want to be a little bit more on the natural side, and if you are putting it over texture, but want to try this, which honestly I would recommend this, because I think when you're doing a full face or you have foundation and powder on, highlight kind of brings life back into the skin. This is the Essence Pure Nude Highlighter. Absolutely gorgeous. It is so beautiful, and it is really just natural. I don't even know how they do it. I mean, it just looks like skin. It is amazing. So we're going to go in. This is a Morphe highlighting brush. Swirl that around completely. Tap off any excess. And we're going to do this right on the high point of our cheekbone here. I always like to take my finger and kind of blend out the edges. Yes, I mean, what? So for brows, I have two recommendations. One is a pencil, another one is a pomade. If your brows are a little bit thinner and you need to fill them a little bit more precise, I would actually go with a pomade, because with a pomade you can get a really sharp angled brush and do more hair-like strokes. A lot of the times with a pencil, it's harder to find something that has a really fine tip, but with a super flat angled brush like that, I would go in with, this is the Morphe Pomade, $6, tons of shades, absolutely amazing. The one that matches me is in the shade Latte, and that can really allow you to get those hair-like strokes if you're going in with a pomade. But if you did want to go with a pencil, which is much easier, I would recommend the e.l.f. pencils. So this is the e.l.f. Instant Lift Brow Pencil. $3, sometimes $2 at the drugstore. Unbelievable. I have the shades Taupe and Dark Brown. I'm actually going to go in with Taupe. I actually like to go a little lighter with my brows. When we're filling our brows, we're just going to brush our hairs up. And I can't stress enough, when I'm usually showing someone to do their brow, we don't want to go too heavy on the insides. That's the part we actually want to look very light and feathered, and we want that to ombre into a more defined brow. So brushing up allows us to see that bottom border, and we're just going to ever so slightly define that bottom border on the inside. And notice I'm really not taking it higher than this bottom border, because now I'm going to take my spoolie and just brush and blend that line up. And to be honest, that for that first 25%, that's all I'm going to do for that inside brow. Now for the rest, I'm going to take it, and I have pretty full brows, so I'm not going to go too crazy here, but just going to take this and fill in any sparse areas, as well as define our edges. So now that we have our bottom filled, I always like to run the spoolie through. Now brush your brows hairs down, and now you can see your bottom border. I mean your top border. So you're going to take that. Notice I'm not bringing it in here at all. You want to start back here and give that top a little bit cleaner of a top border. But we're not bringing it, we're not touching that top inner 25% of the brow. Take your spoolie, brush the hair back up. Voila! Look at the difference. And notice, see how even though I have pretty dark hair, the taupe works. And I think a lot of times people go too dark with their brows, and I think that's what really scares them when they start doing it, is that deep, deep dark brown color. They're not used to it. They're not used to filling their brows, and it is such a stark difference. Unlike this, where you're getting that color and tone without making it way too overwhelming. So I'm just going to do the other brow off camera real quick, and we'll be right back. Alright guys, now we're going to finish off our eye look here, and what we're going to do to make this super simple, take a pinched brush, something like this, nice and flat. This is a Kat Von D blending brush, and instead of worrying about going into shadows and all of that, we're actually going to go back into the bronzer we used. Now, I'm not a big liner on the bottom lash person because I think it crumbles, it smudges, it looks too heavy. Take a little bit of your bronzer there and run this along the bottom lash line. Using your bronzer is a great way to not make the under eye look heavy, but give it definition and anchor that eye look. Now we're going to go in with lip. So for lip liner, two brands I wanted to suggest. So the first one is the NYX Cosmetics. So this is the NYX. It is the lip crayon lip liner in mauve. This is the specific shade I'm using today, but the entire line is unbelievable. Beautiful nudes, beautiful colors, glide on really easy, beautiful long wear. And the second brand I would say is Morphe. So Morphe lip liners, I think these go on even creamier. Again, beautiful nudes and beautiful lasting power. For today, we're gonna go in with the NYX liner in mauve. Okay guys, now that we have our lip liner done, I went ahead and I put some bottom lash mascara on. I used the Essence mascara for that just because the brush is real small and lets you get in there without making a mess. And as far as lips go, I wanted to say as well, as I said, you do not need to use lip liner. If you want to use nothing, take any foundation you got off on the lips, put on a chapstick, amazing. Something super, super light is actually the Honest Beauty Tinted Lip Balms. Those literally look like they have nothing on. The Flower Beauty Tinted Lip Balms, amazing. I wanted to show you two colors. So this is actually the Flower Beauty. This is in Spice Petal. Beautiful nude. This is actually, a lot of people say this is a dupe for Pillow Talk, I believe, by Charlotte Tilbury. So that is gorgeous. And then we are going to use today, this is the Milani Keep It Full Lip Glosses. This is in the color Soft Rose 08. This is what we're going to use over the lip liner. You do not need a lip liner with these. You can use nothing. Oh my god, I think that goes so well with this eye look. And then lastly, we're going to go in with our Pretty Fresh setting powder from Colourpop. Give that a shake. Just going to fan that in. So use my entire eyeshadow palette. And then one of my favorite things to do is taking your beauty blender after you use that setting spray and just take the flat end with nothing on it and press that setting spray into the skin. That really helps the powders lay down and getting rid of any kind of powdery look, and really just makes that skin look beautiful. Alrighty guys, I think that is it for this video today. I had so much fun doing this. I really think this is such a perfect line of products if you're interested in getting into makeup and putting together a kind of a routine for the first time, or if you're just bored with what you have and you want to try some new stuff from the drugstore. I can't stand by all of this stuff enough. I have used it for probably 2 years now, and I mean, not only do I stand by it so much as far as the look of it on the skin, how everything comes out, but also the lasting power throughout the day. I just think all of these products together do wonders. I mean, last 8, 9, 10 hours, maybe a little bit of retouching with a translucent powder, but honestly, other than that, you're not going to get any breaking up in the laugh lines, around the nose. Yeah, I just think these products will work so good on so many different kinds of people. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel. Go ahead and subscribe, and if you are subscribed and you want to be notified every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time when I post a new video, make sure to hit the bell. Like this video and follow me on all other social. My Instagram's linked down below, as well as all the products I used in this video. And that being said, I hope wherever you guys are, you have an amazing day, and stay safe, play with makeup, have fun. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye, guys.